being jealous. I just think that it has a lot to do with how a person views their relationship or the people in their relationship. What y'all think?
Yeah.
I definitely think it has part of it to do with, well, a lot of it to do with what one person is doing in the relationship that is bringing up those feelings of jealousy, to the other person. Jealousy, in my opinion, to also answer your question, is there a good time? Sure, there's nothing wrong with being jealous. It's a natural human emotion. So there's nothing wrong with being jealous. Every single human being, experiences that. So it's just all about, to me, it's all about how you handle it. What do you do once you feel the jealousy coming about? How do you control yourself? What do you do in response to it?
I'm coming to think that there's levels of jealousy, though. That because people say that I'm not jealous, I'm possessive or something like that. Like, that's a very gray area. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference between being jealous and possessive, like it's a very gray. It's like it's gray there a little bit, because sometimes it's kind of hard to determine which one are you being today. You know what I'm saying? Are you being jealous? Are you being possessive? Like which one are you getting into today? I mean,
I agree, but that's exactly why I said it depends on the person's response. What do they do once they have those feelings of feeling jealous or being jealous of a situation or their person? And then what do they do after that? That's going to then determine the level. But every human being, and of course, there may be some who may not have the chemical balance, those exceptions. However, in general, human beings, they all experience jealousy. That is just a natural emotion.
We went there, huh? Like, nobody.
Well, because I don't like to speak in absolutes.
I know.
I don't like to speak in absolutes because there may be some people, because there are some people who literally are walking this earth that don't feel a thing. They're literally like zombies. And so, I'm like, okay, well, not every single person, but with the exception of those cases.
Why he raised this? Why?
I don't know. I think she was almost talking about me, but then when I heard zombie, I was like, okay, I'm not zombie. But yeah, I don't know. I think jealousy, I think it stems from insecurity from somewhere. Sometimes, I kind of get what Nrgy was saying. It's a natural feeling, but when I really, really think about it, most times when I've witnessed jealousy, is because of an insecurity that someone has from whatever place or whatever reason is normally attached to that. I tried to think about times where I've been jealous as we were kind of talking about it. It's not a whole lot, but when it was something I was insecure about. It was rooted in that. So I think that jealousy is attached to that, to some kind of insecurity. And I think that if there are no insecurities with yourself or your partner, the likelihood for jealousy is drastically going to drop when it comes to relationships, at least. Or even if you're jealous of what someone else has, it's probably an insecurity in yourself where you think you should be having more than what you have and you feel less than, or you feel inadequate. It still comes from an insecurity. So I kind of connotate jealousy with insecurity. I think that's going to be my first take on that.
I would agree. I think that comes with some level of insecurity and stuff like that. What's interesting about that, though, is I think that, a person may either be more jealous or possessive depending on what status their relationship is in. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's on the rocks, like maybe you start questioning what's going on? Like, what's this person doing? Like, maybe, that brings in a little bit more of that possessiveness and that jealousy, right?
Oh, for sure. You on the rocks, you're not secure. I ain't seen nobody on the rocks secure. Mm-hmm. They're very insecure and uncertain and afraid or confused. And in those areas, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty and insecurity and jealousy. You know, on the rocks is where jealousy normally breeds itself, on the rocks.
Yeah.
You know, you're afraid, uncertain.
I just always think that that's interesting, though, especially when, you know, a person gets a little bit more clingy whenever the relationship isn't doing so well or doing so hot. But it's always interesting, who is that person that's going to get jealous first? You know, like, who is that person if the relationship is not going that great? Who should be the person to get jealous about what the other person is doing, right? Like, is there like a person that should get jealous first? Did both people get jealous? I'm going with probably not, because everybody has a part in that relationship. So it's just curious. Like, why would jealousy or possessiveness even come into play in those type of situations? But it does. Like, you'll be shocked at how much it does. That the two individuals that don't want to talk to each other are jealous of each other. You know what I'm saying? like why? Like, why? What's the point? Right? I'm not sure if you guys ever seen that before.
I think sometimes pride is a factor. You know, you got two people who know their relationship's not the best. They still may love each other, but they know there's some struggle in there, or some you know, uneasiness. And then because of that, the slightest thing can set off their jealousy alarm, you know? Because they know that, you know, it could be a chance that their partner may be seeking entrance elsewhere because of the current status of their relationship. So I think probably the person that's going to be jealous is going to be the person that may want the relationship to work, but may realize that there's a chance it won't. And that kind of opens them up to being more fearful or more jealous of these isolated instances that may be completely normal, or they may not be, but it's going to trigger them to be a little more jealous in those cases when they know that there's an area of the relationship that's struggling, which is an insecurity. I mean, it is.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it, though. It is. But it's funny that sometimes you have those, I don't know, I think it's a little bit different too, because if you're in a relationship with somebody, but you have a very social job, you know, where you have to talk to other people, like communicate with, you know, different sexes or whatever, and you have to be friendly to these particular people, but also keeping some level of boundaries between the person that you're with. Sometimes I feel like that's the hardest line to like follow there, because sometimes if you're with a person that may not be in that particular industry, they might not ever understand the things that you have to do in order to navigate that particular industry, right? Like, I'm not sure if anybody's ever been familiar with that, but that's kind of like a hard line to kind of walk there when you're in a social job where you have to be social with them.
I know what you're saying, and I understand what you are saying. However, no matter what your job is, well, I'm not gonna say no matter. For like just some of the standard jobs that you maybe, you know, that we can think of for this example, there's still people who perform that job very well without being inappropriate or disrespectful to their relationship. You know, so being in a job of where, you know, your position requires you to be really sociable, and where you know, may do a lot of communicating with people of the opposite sex or different genders and things like that. There are some people who it doesn't matter who they're communicating with. They're still going to communicate in a very respectful manner, to where it doesn't matter their position. They still know how to handle themselves and conduct themselves. But there are some people in those same positions, for an example, who will just kind of take advantage of, oh, you know, I've got to be friendly. I've got to be this, you know, like they just go too far with it and become a little bit too disrespectful and go outside of those boundary lines. when it comes to their relationship, maintaining a certain decorum, when it comes to the relationship versus their job and their position. Because there are some people who do it really, really well and really successfully without it ever becoming an issue because of how they carry themselves.
Yeah. But I mean, it also depends on the person that you're with too. Like the person that person may be with. Because in my head, as you were talking about that, I was trying to figure out who determines what's appropriate, what's not, appropriate. Like I'm just trying to figure out that whole thing because
it's just like anything else.
Yeah, I know, but like if you're in a business or if you with someone that's in the entertainment industry, per se, this is an example, entertainment industry or whatever, it's kind of hard to figure out what would be considered. Like it's stuff that is like blatantly inappropriate, and obviously, there's a line to that. But there's also stuff that may look interesting or whatever, but it's also part of that industry too. Like those people that may be in music, right? Like, and they go to nightclubs, bars, all this other kind of stuff. Obviously, there's going to be a whole bunch of different types of people there, right? So it's like there's a lot of gray there. So that also depends on the person that you're with, because the person that you're with has to have a lot of trust in that person to know that person is not going to cross the line or go any further than whatever. Like, I just think that I think that the jealousy part is more on that person that they may be with instead of that individual that's in that industry, if that makes sense, right? I'm not sure if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. However, I think the responsibility is on both people equally. Because there's some people whose actions can just be totally inappropriate, and yet, based off what you're saying, the person on the other end, the receiving end, is just like, oh, well, they need to make sure that they get themselves in check, but you're not even checking the person who's doing things that are inappropriate. So to me, when it comes to jealousy within a relationship and between two people, both people have a responsibility to maintain and make sure that things aren't happening that are requiring levels of jealousy to, kind of get out of whack.
No, I was with you on that. I agree with you on that part. I'm just saying, like, there's so many varying factors to that, though. I'm just saying, because I've seen it, like, especially from, and that's kind of why I brought up that entertainment example. Like, I've seen it from that standpoint where it's hard for a person to be with somebody in that industry and not feel a certain kind of way sometimes with certain things. Because it's not like the person is physically doing it or trying to make them feel that way, but it's just how it looks. It's perception. Like, everything's just how it looks.
Yes. And so to kind of go along with your example that you're saying, because you were asking, well, how do both people determine, what's whatever? The conversation, a person can have a job and be in a position to where they may be around a certain group of people a little bit more so than any other time. However, when both people are coming into a relationship, they determine and they have that discussion of what their relationship looks like, of what is going to be acceptable versus not acceptable, how to conduct yourself, whenever you're around me, when you're not around me, when you're, on the job, in your role versus when you're not. Just because you're in your job, it does, on your job and playing your role, it doesn't take away the boundaries and things that we've discussed and the things that we agreed upon, within our relationship. See, I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been a DJ, so I've dated DJs. So I know from both ends. So I know that it can be very successful, again, as long as whatever was predetermined and preset between both of those people, that those lines aren't getting crossed, no matter where you are. Being in nightclubs, it doesn't matter, because I've seen it with my own eyes as well, where there's been a male DJ and even female DJs, but more specifically male DJs, who made sure that when females, who are just in attendance of the event, whenever they would approach them, they would make sure that they didn't allow them to get too close to them. They weren't like allowing them to be all whispering in their ears. They weren't allowing them to like be hugging up on them, or they just had certain parameters in place to where even if a female wanted to come up and request a song, they had certain things in place to where that song could still be requested. However, there was nothing that could be misconstrued at all. So that's why even with your example of music, I'm speaking from personal experience where I've seen it from other people, other, mutual fellow DJs, and then as well as myself being the DJ and then also dating DJs, where it has been fine. And because both people put in the work and made sure that things were pre-talked about, pre-planned, pre-set, and no one crossed those boundaries. However, yes, I still understand what you're saying. There are some people who will just, do things that are inappropriate and, to where it will make the other person be like, yo, what's going on? So I do understand your situation, but I'm saying that it is possible, no matter what your position is. It doesn't matter. It's based off of those two people.
I got that. Makes sense. It does. Remind me to ask you about this DJ thing. I need you to make sure you ask this. I'm very curious about that now too. I heard everything you said, but make sure I ask you about that, because I want to know the type of music you was playing. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
I definitely want to know that. What type of music were you playing in the club? I want to know. Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
We are. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Aphrodite, you okay?
Yes, I am.
You're very quiet today.
I know.
Because, y'all was speaking, so I didn't want to interrupt, but I don't really think, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just trying to listen. Because I'm trying to understand what you're saying and especially when you were speaking about the jealousy conversation. Because a lot of times it's not even so much of an industry or career thing. A person could just be very social. The person that you with could be very social. And they could just be a social person, and the other person that you, and the partner, I don't know, just might have that lack of trust. And that insecurity in them, did not understand that you know how far to go in that situation. You know your boundaries. You know that you're not gonna allow it to be crossed or whatever, especially dealing with the opposite sex. Dealing with anybody at that point. So it's more of I understand what Nrgy was saying when she was like it's on both of them. But when you're dealing with a person who has lack of trust, who has a lot of insecurity, like in all honesty, like you cannot put that on your partner plate because you haven't checked yourself in your lack of trust and insecurity, which leads you to your jealousy tendency.
Yeah.
I get it. For me, whenever I say it's on both people, one, I'm talking about like their actions, their mannerisms, what choices and decisions that they make, but then also the communication. So if you're noticing that your partner is having some issues or they're struggling with insecurities or they're struggling with jealousy, then to me, if you also want that relationship to work, then you will communicate, you will take that step and communicate with your partner to figure out, hey, okay, well, what's going on here? Where is this lying in? What is it that you are feeling insecure or jealous about? Let's try to, make sure that this doesn't get out of hand so it doesn't ruin our relationship. So I'm coming from that standpoint. But absolutely, it's the person who is feeling the insecurity themselves or who has the insecurity themselves. Yeah, they definitely do need to do the inner work. However, if the relationship is important to the other person, they need to communicate as well. And then to also see and ask their partner, like, okay, well, what is it that I can do to help in this situation, while we work on this insecurity that you have? What is it that makes it flare up more? What types of things can I do or what things can I stop doing that are reasonable, that will still help and maintain our, the healthiness or the level of health, the level of our relationship from a healthy standpoint. So,
I mean, I like that idea a little bit, and then some of it I don't, because it's like
Right.
you're limited a little bit because
I got to stop being me.
you know what I mean? I was gonna say that, like,
In order to check your insecurity. Like,
yeah,
so I got to limit me. This is just an example.
yeah,
I got to limit me. So you can check your insecurity. Like, it doesn't balance.
yeah. That's kind of what I was getting.
Is it a limit? Is it not being able to be you? Or is it whenever you're in a relationship with someone, it's give and take, it's compromising, it's saying, okay, well, if I'm doing this particular thing and it's not really sitting well with my partner, then in order to help us get through this process, then what's another way that I can do that same thing to where it's not going to, be as detrimental? It's not about, oh, now I got to change my entire person. We're talking about maybe one or two little features or things that you're doing within your relationship that just need to be tweaked. And if a relationship isn't about, okay, let's both see what we together can do to help the relationship as a whole, then what's the point of being in a relationship? Like, you're going to have to make some changes. You can't remain your entire person as you were before you got into this relationship and not expect to make any changes or not expect to make any sort of accommodations for the other person. Again, with the understanding that they're going to start doing their inner work to where that is no longer an issue, and then things can go back to, being the way that they were, because it's no longer going to bother that other person because now they fixed the root of the issue. So to think of it, to make it, feel or sound that extreme, like I can't be me, that's a little far-fetched, I guess.
I mean, it will feel like that. Go ahead. It will feel like that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I don't think it's far-fetched when you really put into context what some of these insecurities could be, right? So let's just say Aphrodite, she has a partner, he's a male, he's insecure. If she smiles at someone of the opposite gender, he's mad, right? Aphrodite, she's a happy person, right? She enjoys interaction just from a general standpoint, but now she has to be conscious of something as simple as just smiling, though that may be part of her normal mannerism, her normal, communication style, just through talking and, engaging and don't let her smile. And now this guy is insecure, right? That's an example of a situation where you got someone that's insecure, what I would deem unreasonably insecure, and where someone is going to have to change who they are, right? They're going to have to change their whole approach to everything. She may have male friends who she genuinely has platonic relationships with, and now she has to be conscious of the way that they have general conversation because of her insecurity, right? And I think in that case, it's a problem. I think the biggest root, and this to be my last piece, is it's probably a compatibility issue. So what you're saying, I agree with what Nrgy is saying, but I also agree with what Aphrodite and Josh are saying. If the compatibility is there from the start, right? So if from the start, that partner knows who you are, they know your social, they know you, whatever your general tendencies are that aren't, too over the top, and they're comfortable with who you are, then if so insecurity does come up from Nrgy's standpoint, then yeah, you guys should have talked through it because they've already accepted your social. So they should have already been okay with the basic social things that you're going to be doing. Whereas from Josh and Aphrodite's standpoint, if it's an insecurity that's overarching, being that you know who I am, then now I feel kind of constricted because this is who I am. And you want me to change this when we got together and you knew this is who I was. And now this is something that you just can't get past. Right. So from that standpoint, I see both sides, but I think the biggest factor in that is compatibility from the start, and that person actually acknowledging and being okay with the person who you are at your core, and then handling those extracurricular, issues that may create insecurity or jealousy down the line.
Absolutely. I agree. But the key word, I said reasonable. You also, in your response, Manuel, as you described it, you said, as long as things aren't unreasonable. So y'all got to listen to that term that I used, because I used it intentionally. Yes, reasonable adjustments, reasonable accommodations. But in that example, Emmanuel, that's a little bit more than reasonable. So I completely agree there as well. And 100% agree that that's why it's so important for both people, whenever they're getting to know each other, to truly get to know how that other person is. Like, don't just talk on the phone and get to know each other. Hang out with each other in public so you can see the mannerisms of the other person, to then determine if you can actually deal with that, if it's something that you are able to, live with, so to speak. So 100% agree.
And now, how is reasonable determined? Okay, because reasonable is subjective.
Right. Well, so, that wasn't just going to be it.
You got any of us can have a huge concern that really is going to push us over the edge, and to us, it's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
And that can be a hurdle, right? That can be a hurdle within itself. So that's just something to think about. It's really important, like you said at the beginning, to know who you are actually pursuing, and know who you're, looking to be with. Know that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you communicate that. Both people, in my opinion, are the ones to determine what's reasonable for their relationship.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different though, okay? Because it's one thing for you to determine these things in the beginning, but it's another thing to continue to talk about these things all the way through your relationship.
Right.
Because, people change over time. Like, people change every month, every day, every year. Like, people change.
Right.
So what a person might be doing and what a person might grow into is something that's two different things, right?
Right.
So that's like if a person, starts off one way and then they get on this journey of, okay, I want to be healthier, I want to be more fit, I want to do all this other kind of stuff. And this is the main thing that causes a lot of people issues, is these gym workout outfits and stuff like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the main thing that be giving people fit right now, okay? Dude, seriously. Like, it happens with everybody, but that's the thing, right? Like, it's like, if you really look at it, everybody, of course, body type is different, but the workout outfits are all pretty much the same. They just fit everybody's body different, pretty much. So it's like, it depends on, like, it's so many different workout outfits and stuff like that. Like, it is. It's so many different workout outfits. Like, it's not the same. The outfits?
Yes.
Like, there's thousands of them.
Somebody who buy them consistently.
There's a lot of them. I get that, but my thing is more about the outfit than the way that a person might view it. Like that. Okay. It wasn't necessarily about the outfit. Okay. I just think that sometimes when a person might look at their partner going to the gym in certain outfits,
okay,
they might question certain things. That's why.
I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's a conversation.
Exactly. It's you communicate about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Your relationship is gonna always need communication. Yes, we are who we are on the day that we meet a person. 10 days later, we're gonna be slightly different. 10 years later, we're gonna be completely different. But it's all about communicating throughout the process. So therefore, it's not just this one big, huge, big ball of difference that we're caught off guard with. If we communicate over time, throughout the days, throughout the weeks with our partner, that's going to help with their relationship maintaining. Otherwise, if through that communication, as people have changed, if they're no longer on the same page or no longer, have the same values, then they make a decision from there. Like, it's not it's fixable. It's doable. There is a solution at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's a solution too. I just think that certain things should. I think there should be a lot more accountability, right? Because certain insecurities are not your partner's fault. Like, that's my thing. Like, that's what I believe, right? It's like, if you come in a relationship with a certain level of insecurities or a certain level of trust issues or a certain level of whatever, it's little to nothing that your partner can actually do to help that part, right? Like, they can do their part, of course. Like, they can make small tweaks here and there and all this kind of stuff, but I think that that's kind of where the accountability piece comes in. Like, if you have those things, you have those things, then it's on you to actually fix those. Like, take steps, fix that kind of stuff, talk to a therapist, counselor, whatever you need to do, like, to fix that kind of stuff so that it doesn't roll off onto the other person, because a lot of the stuff that the other person may or may not be doing is not 100% their fault, right? Like, it's not 100% their fault. Like, they're just trying to navigate the situation because they're in a relationship with that person. Like, I just think that a lot of times people, depending on how long you've been in a relationship with a person that may have those types of issues, I think that a lot of times people play that blame game, like they like to blame the other person for their own issues, like the point fingers and stuff like that. And that's never a great idea, because your relationship is not going to grow by pointing the finger. Like, it's not, especially if this is an issue that's your issue. Like,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, like, barring a prior act of, disappointment or infidelity, or extreme, showing on the partner side, insecurity should be handled by the person who has it, right? I mean, it's primarily that person's responsibility. Outside of, like I said, an extreme act on your partner, or a history of, a reason to be insecure, then if those two things haven't happened, then that person needs to look a little deeper into themselves.
Right. Because if they breed in the lack of trust, which breeds the breeds the insecurity and the jealousy, and they coming in with that, it's really on them. Because even as a partner who's not that person, and they encounter that prior to them, but they're not that person, it's really not a whole lot they're going to be able to do. There's not going to, for that jealousy, that insecurity, and all that stuff that can continue unless they address what it is that they have going on. Because they can be just standing looking. This is just an example. When Emmanuel was speaking about me smiling, so I could just be smiling, but because you haven't addressed that lack of trust, insecurity, that jealousy in you, then it's nothing on me that I did wrong. It's on you because you haven't addressed it. So I understand what you're saying, Nrgy, when you were saying, about reasonable and talking and having those conversations. But I guess at some point, like, the partners would have to understand that if you're not going to address it and not start that blame game, like if you had to smile this way and you had to smile this way, then maybe we wouldn't be here today. Like, if we, you know what I'm saying, then you have to make that decision, like, is that for you? Is that something you're going to be able to continue? Because the person who's just smiling is going to have a lot of feelings, a lot of feeling of loneliness, a lot of feeling of, dang, I just can't be me, or if I smile this way, if I look this way, or whatever. They're going to deal with a lot, and that's something they will have to consider themselves, which is true, but if that you and that partner are planning on making that thing happen, then that jealousy stuff will have to be addressed. It will have to.
Yep.
And hopefully it's detected before y'all get together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the number one thing. Like, be on alert.
Hey,
Right.
sometimes that's not always the case.
True.
That's true.
It's not.
Yeah,
You can see the signs. You can see the signs. You know, you can see the signs. It's
Some
gonna be
people,
some signs.
some people ignore the red flag. Okay, some people look past those red flags, right? And then, not to say that some people do, but some people just realize it once they get there that how big of an issue that really was. Yeah, because it's like, it may have been like something that you kind of spotted or whatever, but you didn't realize how
Big it was.
that issue really was to that particular person. So by the time you figured it out, you can't put the car in reverse and be like, hey, let me back up out of here.
Why you can't?
Because you already in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying.
I like to give it energy.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You're not stuck.
it depends on the nature of the relationship, though, right? Because think about this, though, right? Like, if you're engaged to this person, if you just got married, whatever the case may be, you didn't realize how big that issue was, right? And then boom, the issue got bigger, and then you have to address it. You have to deal with it at that point.
Until it's kids, then I'm reversing. What I know, you didn't say kids.
Where's the video?
You didn't say kids, so I'm reversing.
Let me cut his video off.
I'm hitting reverse.
He said, I ain't.
all that other stuff that can be replaced. That can be redone.
We ain't condoning that, okay? Like, ain't condoning that.
They said you might not be condoning.
Oh, hey, I made a mistake. Okay? Hey, I admit it. Oh, hey, rather 2 years of pain than 20. Okay? It's all right. I made a mistake.
Oh, man.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a big fan of like communication and trying to work out solutions and trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to actually fix these particular problems. You have to give a person.
Sometimes reverse is the best way.
Hey, for some, yes. Okay. For some, okay. Hey, I'm just saying the problem with reversing sometimes is you have to draw a line somewhere. Like, you can't reverse out of every situation. You got to draw a line somewhere. Like,
that's true.
Like, what? I'm just saying, like, every situation you get into, you can't reverse. Like, eventually you're gonna have to deal with stuff. But
who said why you reversing, you're not dealing with it though?
Hey, I'm just saying, okay, this is probably a little off topic or whatever, but I'm just saying, I've seen that with some people too, that you got those people that are runners, right? Like they like habitual runners. Like, they get into relationships, things get hard, you wanna go, like, walk out the house, go stay at your mama, go whatever you need to do. Like, you want to get away from the situation, right? Like, my thing is not to create that atmosphere where you have that obligation, that choice to say, I'm just gonna run, or I'm just gonna back up out of the situation, because that becomes something in your mind that it's gonna be your go-to. Like, self-consciously, that's what a person ends up doing. Like, it's a psychological thing, right? Like, if you know that you can just back up out of a situation and not really address something, that's gonna be the first thing you do. You just gonna walk on out of it. Like,
I think that's on an individual basis.
I'm just saying,
I agree with him. That can happen.
I've seen it.
Like, that can happen.
It's so easy. That's the easiest thing to do, to say, hey, I don't want to deal with this. Let me just walk out. It's the easiest thing to do. Like, you don't got to create no solution. You got to have no conversation. You got to do any of that. You just pick up your car keys, boom, I'm out. See you. Like, I'm gone.
We also got to remember, though, we can't control people, right? So hey, I think that's an option after, resolutionary tactics have been put into play, right? So, like, I've talked to you, we've tried to figure this out. You don't want to do it. I'm not willing to bend on this. All right. That's the line. Okay. You talked about a line? There you go. Okay. The line is you're not bending and I'm not bending. Right? So there you go. That's the line. I think once that happens, then you're good to reverse.
That's a whole nother subject.
That's fair.
It is.
That's fair.
Oh man, that's so funny. That's funny how we segue there too, because like I said, we were just talking about jealousy. No.
But I think it ties in together, you know, when you're talking about jealousy, you start talking about, you know, and you start speaking on like her subject about what she was speaking on. Like, it just comes together.
It does. Mm. Yeah, it does. So is there a foolproof way to avoid a jealous situation in any given relationship? Is there like a foolproof way to do that?
No.
Completely open communication. I think completely open communication would mitigate that if a resolution is met. If someone is actually, if you actually communicate a concern and you guys come to a understanding about the concern, I don't see what there is to be jealous about. Jealousy happens when there's someone that was not content with the conclusion or wasn't assured or, you know, at a place where they were comfortable with the circumstances. But if you're comfortable with what's going on and you understand and you accept it, I can't see a reason to be jealous.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. I think that jealousy is, like I said in the beginning, it's a root of insecurity.
Yeah.
Think about when you were jealous. It was probably something about what was happening that you were insecure about.
Mm-hmm.
What was your question, Josh? Because based off his answer, I must have heard your question wrong.
Right. How did you hear my question? What did you hear?
I thought you were asking, is there a way to eliminate or alleviate jealousy become, you know, at all in relationships?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. So okay.
I said yes. I said yes, and I said through completely open communication. And that's when I was saying it's important for people to understand and accept the conditions or the circumstances surrounding their relationship. And if they really accept it and come to an agreement, then they're going to be comfortable with what's going on. And through that communication, there should be no jealousy. Like, what are you jealous about?
It's still don't prevent jealousy though. Like, you can have a conversation with them, you can agree with it, but that don't mean they're not going to be jealous though.
I guess we need to determine what jealousy is. Because being jealous is what? Wanting what someone else has.
If you're talking possession of something, sure.
Right. So like, what are we considering jealous to be? I think that might be something we probably should have hit on earlier. Right? What is jealous?
No, I mean, I think that goes back to what I was saying about the difference between being jealous and possessive.
Right.
But what I mean by like jealous, especially from a relationship standpoint, is like if your partner is like going to the store or something like that and you have some type of negative idea based on the fact that they went to the store. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are they doing? Who are they with? Why are they going to the store right now? You know, stuff like that. You know, like stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds like insecurity to me. What you just said, exactly like insecurity.
I mean, but you got insecurity.
You went to the store?
You got jealousy. You got possessive, like being possessive. So everything's going to the same line.
Not like insecurity leads to identity, started possessive stuff, and
being controlling,
paranoia, the controlling,
yeah,
all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's all in the same line.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in the same line.
So we're to say that every relationship has jealousy, then we're saying that everyone that's in a relationship is insecure.
No.
Because if insecurity leads to jealousy, there has to be some insecurity.
There has to be
everybody in a relationship is
Yeah.
So that means that there are relationships that can operate without jealousy because the people in it aren't insecure. Because jealousy comes from an insecurity.
Not all.
So what's the example of jealousy that's not rooted in insecurity?
Okay, you mean, okay, so that's different. To me, I think that's different too. So there's a difference between a person coming into a relationship with a certain level of insecurity. So
I'm just talking about jealousy from just jealousy. Like, when was someone jealous that wasn't rooted in an insecurity? And that's why I was saying that pretty much if you're not insecure, that's why I made the statement earlier. Like, if people aren't insecure, then they wouldn't be jealous. That's what I was saying. So that's why I was like, oh, well, so you're saying everyone that's jealous is insecure. And y'all were like, no. So that's why I was like, okay, well, that means that there are people that can be in relationships and not be jealous, because that means that there are people that are insecure.
Yeah, but then it rolls into that whole thing about trust and how you are distrusting your relationship too, which could be a form of insecurity as well. But it's like there's a difference between you coming into the relationship with insecurities and the relationship creating insecurity. You know, like things that are happening in a relationship that are creating a certain level of insecurity.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Because like you can have two people who are totally secure.
Yeah.
And they meet and the relationship is fine. And then all of a sudden, one of the people decides to do something that's totally disrespectful. Yeah. They, hanging out all over, someone of the opposite sex, showing their breast and cleavage in front. You know what I'm saying? Like, then those actions are going to breed feelings of jealousy, because you don't want your woman, as a man, you wouldn't want your woman on another dude. So, but there's no insecurity there. It's more of a, like, bro, like, how are you going to do that? Like, that's disrespectful. So it doesn't mean that he's insecure. It's like, literally, she's doing something that is bringing up those feelings of jealousy. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it doesn't mean that he's insecure when his woman is actually doing something that's just not cool.
Yeah. Like wearing a gym outfit.
You in this gym?
That's on the gym outfit today, baby.
Did you work out today?
Oh, listen. Let's go see who wears a gym outfit right here.
Right. Let me catch you at Planet Fitness for Lifetime.
Hey, I'm just saying, there's a whole bunch of people mad about that now, okay? Hey, I ain't one of them, okay? I just said I ain't one of them. I just like to poke fun at it a little bit, okay? Like that's
just trying to get the gym outfit that covers the top.
That don't matter, okay? Because you need to cover the bottom too, okay? Like,
and the bottom down to the knee or something.
It could go all the way down to the ankle. It just depends on how you curve that leg.
Exactly.
Get you another woman. You sound like you need another woman. You want to change your woman body. Sound you need a new woman, man.
I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying, a lot of jealousy is created by that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's no different from a club outfit, like I hate to use women as the example, but if your woman goes out to the club with her girls and on this particular day, she wants to wear something like super skimpy and revealing, then, so yeah, it could be just garments in general, apparel in general. Yeah, that can, cause issues.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, we're back.
Oh, man. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, but I'm just trying to get to that point that if all things were equal, nobody came into a relationship with any type of, insecurities or anything like that. Could a relationship move forward, right, without any issues, right? Like, was there any issues of jealousy if no one brought any insecurities in the relationship?
Is that possible?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible because you can have two people who are just truly intentional about being respectful and about being appropriate and about communicating effectively and openly and being transparent. So it's possible.
And I think even in the case that they're not, it could be addressed. Like with the skimpy outfit, like that's an extremity, right? So you going out to the club, like, why are you so revealed? Like that's an extremity. Like, I mean, it is. You don't have to be looking like that to go out to the club. So like anyone who loves their woman, who sees them going out to the club,
you go with them. You go with them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a complete. If there was no better reason to be somewhat type of jealous or a little alert, yeah, you need to be going with them. Yeah, so,
I told you.
Something wrong. Something wrong. Okay, I'm just saying. That's a red flag, and I ain't turning around. I ain't looking away. Okay? I ain't looking away from that red flag. That's a red flag.
Hey, yeah. That's the kind of stuff they'll be having people sitting outside in their car, waiting for you to come out of the club like this.
Not the stalker situation. Not stalking. Oh.
Now, I don't agree with stalking, but she probably would have never got to the club. And it was up to me. Or she would have got to the club in a different outfit. We would have had that conversation before she left the house. Oh, baby girl. We might need it.
Like, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear.
I mean, personally, I will not have that issue. I don't expect that issue because we would have that mutual respect and understanding. But if it were to happen, then we would address it right then and there. Yeah.
And so you're saying that you would want your woman in that case to accommodate your wishes and maybe change her attire. That's what you're saying.
What I'm saying is my woman wouldn't do that. But if she did, then yes.
Okay, so that goes to what I was saying earlier. Like, okay, but you're the one in this example with the insecurity, the issue. Right. You're the one who has a problem with it. But yet you want her to accommodate, compromise, put in and help the situation. So it's the same. I said this earlier. Gosh darn it.
Keep in mind, I said if it's a prior offense or an extremity. That was my two caveats. This is an extremity, okay? You're going out the house half naked to a club environment where there are predators and all kinds of things at night on drugs. This is an extremity. I got to draw the line. I'm not insecure. It's about respect at this point. You need to respect your relationship.
And hey,
I'm not insecure though. I'm not jealous. It's about respect. You got to respect your relationship. And you're not going out like that. It's not. I'm not insecure. It's just respect. It's about respect. Because if you went out, I wouldn't be thinking you're gonna do stuff, but it's just respect. It's just not respecting your relationship, and we got to do better. So we're gonna do better before you leave out, and we're gonna get everything in order. But like I said, I wouldn't be in that situation. I would not be in that situation, but if I was, that's my take.
That is the way that conversation's gonna go to. Hey, we gotta do better. Okay, this right here, this ain't gonna work.
Exactly. That's exactly how it
That's extreme. That's extreme.
Yeah, look at yourself. Look at this.
You're not representing us well.
You agree with this? You do? You see that?
Look, Josh sounds just like me. Nrgy, I agree with you. You are not being represented well. Okay, that outfit does not represent us. Okay, it doesn't.
Oh man,
we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Okay, and I'm not insecure. I'm not jealous. This is respect. Respect for your relationship. Okay, that's all it is. That's it.
That's a fair line.
I don't think she's gonna go out there and cheat, but we gotta respect our relationship.
That's a fair line.
You said that 4 times.
Yes,
it
is a fair line. Aphrodite is right. Aphrodite's right. It's that line. Which is why, you know.
You're jealous of stuff. We got to know what I'm saying.
It is. It is.
I think it's reasonable for that to be an issue of respect for your relationship. That's reasonable. Everything surrounding that situation does not support going out half naked. It doesn't.
Is there
going to the club?
I'm just saying, is there a situation where it does prompt going out half naked? Is there like any situation that comes when they can do that?
Yes, there is one.
Okay.
You're going to the pool.
Okay.
You're going swimming. Okay. You're going to the beach. Okay. You're going out there with your bikini and your panties. Okay. But other than that, I can't think of something that warrants going out half naked. I can't.
I was just curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the beach, the pool, the ocean, you know, any type of swimming activity.
Mm-hmm. Guess that's all. I guess that summed it up, didn't it? Mm-hmm.
For him.
So we can have on our next episode, we can talk about clothing appropriate for a relationship.
Oh boy.
Oh man, you tripping?
It might be, maybe.
Mm-mm. Ain't gonna be a lot of controlling right there. Okay? A lot of controlling. Okay? A lot of controlling right there. Okay. Hey, you can't be telling them how to dress now. Okay. Hey, that's hard.
That's what you say.
That's a hard line.
Until certain things happen.
That's a hard line. Okay. Like if a person comes into a relationship, they know they're in a relationship, so they know that since they are in a relationship with a person, they have to be able to respect those boundaries. Like, but they have to make that decision though. You can't force that decision on them. Because if you hit a person that don't know that there's a difference between single life and relationship life, then they don't need to be in no relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's something that's something that you shouldn't be teaching people that agree to be in a relationship like with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't teach people that. Like,
I agree. That's why I said I would never be in that situation. I started off by saying that because I'm not trying to change nobody. Hey. But if I was, that's what that would look like. But yeah, I wouldn't be in that situation because I agree with you, Josh. Someone shouldn't have to be told that.
No. Mm-mm. No. It's just like if your oil light come on, nobody should tell you that you need to go get the oil change. Okay? Like, come on now, okay? The light is right there. It said, hey, you need to get your oil change. It's right there, okay?
But she been dressing like this. Like he been dressing like this.
I would never. I wouldn't.
You accepted them dressing like that,
right?
When you know you went into the relationship with them dressing like that,
right? I would have never done that though. But for those who did that, hey, you made a mistake, bro. You made a mistake. If that's not something you're happy with, admit you made your mistake. But I wouldn't have gotten a relationship with that person.
Hey, that's
0% chance. Okay.
Hey, that would be a completely different topic for another day. So
yeah.
So
wait.
What?
Before you close, I want to give my disclaimer. So you all know that I'm all for self-improvement, everything needing to be within the individual themselves. Like a person has to work on who they are first. Like they need to be a healthy and whole individual before moving with someone else or becoming into a relationship with someone else. So with that being said, I do want to make sure that it's clearly understood that I don't feel that it's on their partner to do the work for them and to deal with whatever insecurities that they may have brought into the relationship. So I definitely want to make sure I state that. And for me, one last thing that I would say is that what we've been talking about earlier is all about bringing in emotional baggage. For people who bring in insecurities into the relationship, that's basically bringing in emotional baggage or some sort of baggage itself. And so I'm all for making sure that before you jump into the next relationship, you need to take time to be by yourself. You need to take time to heal and figure out whatever other issues that you have that's swirling around within you that can become a problem in your next relationship. So I just wanted to say that for the record so everyone knows that, yeah, it is on the individual person. However, if you are with a team, you're on a team with your partner, then yes, if they want the relationship to work, then there should be some sort of empathy and conversation and understanding, that can help, that they can do to also help with improving just the relationship as a whole. That's it.
Well said.
Well said, as always.
Mm-hmm. You put that right into perspective.
Better make sure that this point was there.
Yeah.
Hey, you put that right into perspective. It was good. So, another episode of Added Perspective with Josh from Josh.
I'm Coach Nrgy.
I'm Aphrodite.
And I'm Emmanuel.
Out of the club.